Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Sean, and I go by Gifted Fire. Today, I have my special guest, Hassan. He goes by Dune45, and we're gonna check out his remix for this new track. What's up, Hassan? How's it going, dude?
Doing well. Thank you for having me today, Sean.
Awesome. So, what you got cooking? Where you at right now?
So I'm in Bangkok right now. A little bit of background on me. I'm a Pakistani-born American producer. I grew up in New York. I lived in Singapore for a while, and now I'm in Bangkok. And I'm really happy to have been collaborating with you and Anil on this EP.
Nice, yeah, it was really fun. And it came together really quick. I believe I sent you the stems like a week ago. Oh, it's like a 1 or 2 week turnaround or something like that.
It was such a fun track, and it was really easy to mix. I was eager to get into it, and it kind of wrote itself.
Nice. Yeah, really excited to release this project in November. The original track, do you wanna just like pop that open too and maybe the session?
Let's start with the original track. The name of the track is Ngiyajola. It's a dance floor Afro House track with a bit of a dark vibe. I'll play a few sections from it, maybe 10, 15 seconds each time, and we'll get into my version in a little bit. So I'll start with the drop here. Actually, let me stop and go to an area where there's a bit of vocals so you can get a better idea.
Cool.
Okay, so that's the original, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I interpreted it. So, Sean, when I was talking to you, I know you said you wanted to do kind of an Afro-Latin version, which we'll talk about. So, what I wanted to do was see if I could take this somewhat darker Afro House dance floor, kind of a fire track, and make it a little bit more uplifting and happy. The first thing I did is I actually changed the key of the track to kind of a major key.
Let's give your version a play.
Play it at the final drop, I guess, to give everyone a flavor of what's happening here. Okay, here we go.
Bouncy.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I did is I added a bunch of percussion. So if you look at Ableton here, under the claps and perks group, there's a lot going on, right? So there's a snare, a clap, there's an open hat, closed hat, but then there's a bunch of shakers. So there's a shaker loop that kind of sounds like this. Okay, so that's like the top loop that stays throughout the track. And what I love is tambourines, and you'll see that in the rest of my other tracks as well. So I wanted to have my tambourine in there. This sounds like this.
Nice. Gives it a little gallop, you know?
Yeah. And then I added kind of a wood percussion, a wood block, a cowbell roll. So let's see if I can just like play them together. So that's all the drums. Very kind of percussive, very groovy. And if I add the kick and bass bus to it, so you can hear the all of the low end and the perks together. This is the core of the track.
Nice.
With the bass, I've got like a groovy bass and then a sub bass in the same the same key to give it that oomph in the clubs.
Nice. Do you have any plugin preference for bass lines, or is there a go-to for you?
Great question. I use Diva on this one. I'm using a Diva preset called the picked bass, and then I kind of tweaked it a little bit. I don't know if you can see it on this screen. No, I don't think so,
Okay,
because
no
it's a
worries.
separate window. But yeah, Diva preset. Super cool. Diva is a synth that is commonly available, and it's got a lot of nice sounds that you can tweak or create your own.
Nice. The thing that stuck out to me for your remix was like how you chopped out the vocals,
Yeah.
and the groove that you created for this track is much different. So it gives this really organic bounce to it. But yeah, as a producer, like how you flip the vocals is really interesting, actually.
Thank you. All my tracks, as you've been seeing them, I love working with vocals. That's kind of my thing. So I was really happy when I was asked to do this because there were really cool vocals in there. Let's hear the original vocals and check out the speed on these, and see how I kind of changed them into fitting them into this groovy track a little bit differently. So yeah, as you can see, pretty sped up vocals. The first thing I did was when I created the groove and I laid those vocals on top, it seemed like something wasn't working right. So if you hear the groove again, those vocals, they felt a little too sped up to me. So what I did is I made a copy of them, and in the vocals, I just kind of halved the tempo. Really, I mean, it was pretty simple. If you go into the sample here, the track BPM is 123. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All I did was I slowed down the vocals by warping the original sample, and I doubled the BPM, which in practice means that Ableton, when it processes it to align it with the BPM, it halves the tempo of the vocals. So my vocals sound like this. So yeah, twice as slow as the original sample. Now, obviously, when you do this, there's some resonance and some frequencies that become more prominent because those are harmonics that are kind of suppressed in the original vocal. But we dealt with those in the mixing and mastering process. And Sean, thanks for mastering it. So when you play the song together, you don't actually hear those kind of somewhat harsher high frequencies. Yeah.
And what's interesting about this technique, it allows you to kind of give it a glitchy feel, very similar to resampling, right? Where you downed or up a vinyl record. It's kind of a similar concept that you can stretch time and creates these artifacts that, yeah, it may not sound really cool by
On
itself,
its
but
own,
put
right.
together in context might really create a cool effect. And in this case, it worked really nice with the context of the whole track, And yeah, kudos, man. Like you found a really cool technique to apply.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, you could see I actually named the sample Slovaks because this, I'll play it again. This is like the accents that I use because that particular channel has a few more devices on it that give it more reverb and delay. So this slow sample sounds like this. So that's got a auto pan that is panning the audio from left to right. I don't know if we can hear it, but it also has like a really large reverb using the Pro R2 plugin, which is a very popular reverb. So yeah, that, and there's another vocal component, which is this dumb voice that was in the original. I love this. Yeah, I didn't do anything to it. I didn't slow it down or anything. It was perfect. I just added some chorus to it to give it a bit beefier kind of an overdrive feeling, and it fits really well with the mix.
Nice, dude. Let's check out the melodies, yeah.
Okay. So for the melodies, let me just play the original real quick so everyone can remember what the synths sound like. Oops, sorry. Okay, so to go from that to sort of this. First thing that's happening here is I use a lot of horns to give it an uplifting, kind of a euphoric feeling. So there's these horn crashes that happen every few bars or so. So that sound will repeat. Then I've got a couple of horn or arpeggiated sounds going. So they sound like this. So they give the track that
So
kind of a bouncy feeling.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
curious. So what's going on in this patch, right? Like you're using a contact player, you have a chorus. You want to walk us through what's going on? Like,
all there is I use the Contact Session Horns plugin. I mean, it's really common. I use the full articulation of the horn section, but it sounded a bit thin. So I added this Tal Chorus plugin that kind of multiplies the sound.
and it's a great way of using like the thicken sound up choruses.
Another thing that's happening is some of these riffs. I'll go to this one. They've got a lot of dynamics going on. So if I quickly flip to the automation view and you look at the drops and row, the cutoff filter in the Diva synth, which is the synthesizer I'm using, the frequency cutoff knob, that's vibrating a lot. Like if I play it again, see how this is moving back and forth right there. And another thing that's happening is this auto filter knob is kind of spin vibrating it, oscillating it back and forth at the rate of 3.5 hertz, and the LFO amount is also changing. You could, if you wanted, pin this amount to notes and oscillate that, the quarter note or eighth note. I just like the way this sounded, and it kind of evolves as the track goes. Another thing, Sean, when you and I were jamming in a studio here, you were like, I was playing it for you, and you said, how about we add some harmonies in? So there's some Gifted Fire contributions here. There's a sitar harmony that sounds like this. It's super cool. Oh, how pretty is that?
I totally forgot.
You did this, and then you added kind of this serum. It was like a nice happy pluck. I don't know if you remember this one. That made me so happy. It's like a major as hell key and chord. Let me show the MIDI pattern here. Super fun, all the way up to the second octave up here. Super fun notes. Yeah, so that was really fun. But going back to the that just reminded me, going back to the major to the synth. It's just a chord, man. It's just the G sharp chord, legato.
I remember like mixing the track, and it was heavy on horns and strings. Like it was kind of like the strings are also doing like the
Oh yeah.
major lifting of this track, right?
Let me go back to the strings. So the strings are sticking to the G sharp scale. This is just the arpeggiated G sharp chord on the scale. Sounded really good, so I kept it. It sounds like this. So yeah, processing wise on this, quite a lot. The thickening via the chorus. Oh yeah, I added some random here to give it that human element, and then using Pro R2 reverb, some auto panning, and then there's some reverb, Ableton reverb that kicks in at the end of each bar. And then I've got, of course, side chaining through Kickstart, automation on the strings. This is a reverb that comes in. And then a lot of sort of like a gain control happening throughout the track as well.
I really love the use of your modulation, like filters, autopan, sidechain. These are, huge tools in shaping sound, and like it's very effectively applied in each channel.
Thank you, Sean. I mean, when I first started, right, the feedback that I got from everyone was your tracks sound like this great sound design, but they're like more flat. And even on the dance floor, like when you hear all these different frequencies, it's almost like every synth, every element, every instrument in each of these tracks that we like from our favorite producers, they're just moving, man. So this is my way of giving it some movement. Another thing is that you can have different instruments like have an interplay with one another. So yeah, that's it. We can maybe take another quick listen. All right, so maybe I'll start here at the break here. All right, so I wanted to make sure I gave it my signature sound, which is a little bit more happier and dancier. It's that's the kind of feel I wanted to give it. I'm really happy for the opportunity, and thank you, Sean, and thank you to Anil for bringing me into the project.
Super grateful for the remakes. That was really cool. And really, thank you for showing us under the hood. And the project came out really nice. And yeah.
The original, and the best part about this is that all three tracks, they sound different from one another, even though they're sharing so many elements. So it's super cool.
Yeah. So I guess I gotta pull up my remakes.
Yes, let's hear it.
Voila. Okay, cool. So this is my version to the remix. Where should I play it from? Just do something like this. So yeah, this is kind of a little teaser to the remakes. I kind of went for a little bit more of a Afro-Latin vibe. I was kind of missing that Caribbean conga, and the double bass line. Usually when I approach remixes, it really depends on what's the feeling I get for the track. And also trying to make a remix that is complementary to the project. So we had a very Afro House mainstream for the original, and with Dune45's remix I felt there was a very organic Afro vibe. So I was like, okay, let me take it to something where I could play it in a more happier Afro-Latin, beach day party. So let's just go check out the groove. It was very inspired by the bass, and this is like done by a double bass line, so super simple.
So groovy, man.
So this is really where everything was like derived from, right? And the interesting part, I just used the vocals and just kind of like sampled it. So I wrote basically the bass line to the vocals, which didn't really make sense, and then stacked up. Yeah, super random, but it kind of worked, with the high percussion. And with the whole like music section, right? So I really wanted to complement the bass line with the guitars. So this was like, and the mood that I was going for was kind of like this bluesy, dreamy, flowy kind of guitar juxtaposed to this like Latin, double bass line that is kind of moving. So it gives it this like a soundtrack vibe to this groove. Yeah, something about like acoustic guitars that give that soulful feeling. And the classic I have chords, which is just a piano, and yeah. This one is like the keys. So really, that's what's really driving the track. And when you actually add like the guitars, it gives it that arpeggiated feeling. And then I have very simple synths, just kind of like ad-libbing a little bit. So I was like, what if I added some cinematic feeling to the guitars? I just had that on the break. I miss the feeling of Bonobo, you know that artist, right? So like, what if I experiment electronically with the break this way, and then get back into that like Afro-Latin groove to give that dynamics, but you know, it's not a big club energy, but it's more of a groovy vibe. So there you go. Yeah, so that's the track. And maybe the last thing I wanted to share is with the piano. This is really what the track is all about. And I just added a Juno 106 to kind of give it more like. Yeah, so it's animation over here. And also organ. The classic house sound, you know? And then with the bass. Yeah, and that's my remix, guys.
Super groovy. I could just picture you playing it on a beach around sunset with the crowd dancing against the sunset backdrop.
Thank you, man. And I'm really happy that we got to collaborate on this project.
Yeah.
Has this EP, right? Like with 3 different sounds in 3 different countries. And, you know, it's really cool that like we now can play this sets of sounds in different places. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Can't wait for the track to come out in November.
Can't wait.